What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this POV review by AutoTopNL. My name is Martin, and today I'm taking a look at my own Volvo V40 1999 Volvo V40 T4. And this car is my 2,000 euro car challenge car. As you might know, Max and I have had a challenge which car to buy for 2,000 euros if you like a bit of performance, practicality, you don't want to spend too much on parts and stuff. So I bought this, a Volvo V40 T4, and Max purchased a Mercedes S430 V8. Really looking forward to his garage bill, because that's the first thing we did after purchasing these cars. Go check out the purchase video I made with this one. So we took it home and I brought it to a Volvo specialist, and I told him I want to do a top speed run with this old beast. Can you make sure it's in the right condition to do that? So let me walk you through the car and I'll explain what the garage has done to make this car suitable for the Autobahn. Now, what I love about this V40 T4 is that it's green and it has the optional BBS wheels. As you can see, there is a tiny BBS logo right there in the rim, and yeah, they're damaged. Of course they are after 23 years, but these are 16-inch and we have some decent Goodyear rubber on this car, which is really important. The brakes behind the rim are still in a great condition. They really have a nice bite to them, and brake performance is not that bad, considering this car cost me 1,750 euros. Now, for today I wanted it to be as light as possible, so I took everything out that doesn't need to be in here, like a 23-year-old spare wheel. Weight reduction, bro. Let's get that in there. And I've driven it for a few weeks now. I completely love this thing. I really do. We have like a custom exhaust. It is with a small catalytic converter and then a rear silencer, so it looks a bit more sporty and it sounds a bit more sporty too. From time to time you even get like a little bang from the exhaust. Which I really like. It has like this 90s rally-ish sound, which I absolutely love. We even have a rear spoiler for high-speed stability on the Autobahn, because this thing in 1999 did 235. Today we're going to find out what it actually still does. Let's have a look at the engine. Because no one ever talks about these cars. They are pretty damn special. Especially considering the age and the time it was introduced. Because in 1999, a 1.9 liter turbo with 200 horsepower in your entry-level Volvo family car was quite special. I mean, 200 horsepower. If you look at BMW, you had to get like a 328i to get 200 horsepower, not even 200 horsepower. So this is pretty special. As I said, it's a 1.9 turbo engine. With the facelift, it was replaced for a 2 liter with also 200 horsepower. They are actually 1855 cc, so not even 1.9, and it's code B4194T. And it makes 300 Newton meters of torque. Now, as you might know, it had a open air filter right here from K&N, but I've replaced it with the stock air filter with a K&N inlay filter. because when you do an Autobahn run, it gets really hot in here, and with an open air filter, you're just sucking in the hot air and you want cold air for your turbocharged engine. So yeah, this is just better. It did have a cool sound with the open air filter, I have to say. But these engines, I've seen a few Swedes that have tuned it up to like 420 horsepower, and they did some drag races with it and it beat a Lamborghini Gallardo. Okay, should we do that? Is that still smart to do? Maybe not smart, but it is a lot of fun, I think. So what also really is a great thing about this car is, as you might know, I currently own an M340i, an M3 and this. And whenever I drive this, it just makes me happy. And when I then switch to either the M340i or the M3, it feels faster than it did before I drove this. So it works both ways. It's both good for this car and for my other cars. So let's get in. Now here I have the bill I was talking about. I went to Rijmakers in Mierlo, a Volvo specialist. I just searched on the Volvo forum because the Volvo V40 is really popular in the Netherlands, and that's because this car was born in Born, and Born is a little place in the south of the Netherlands where the factory is of Volvo at the time, called Netcar.
Our head mechanic.
And Rijmakers bought the complete inventory of parts when they stopped producing this car over there. So he has all the spare parts still available after so many years, which is awesome. So he checked the car and the wipers were broken. Well, we knew that. Yeah, the caliper on the left needed replacing. It was broken. That's why I said it feels so weird on the front axle when I first drove it. And that's because the caliper was only pushing the bottom of the brake pad. So that's kind of dangerous. The brake lines were also gone, which needed replacing. Brake fluid needed replacing. And the most important thing, it was leaking oil on the turbo. Now a turbo gets very hot, like 1,000 degrees, something like that. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but it can be so hot that it can actually set oil on fire. So dripping oil on the turbo, he said if you would have done an Autobahn run, chances are you would have burned down the entire car. Okay, so good thing I've had it checked before I did this. So in total it cost me €476.63. Let's get driving. Where's my key? Now, as you might know, I used to own, I told that in the previous video, I used to own one of these, but it was a 1.8 Europe edition. And driving like 120 was so fast in that car. It had, I think it had like 105 horsepower, and it just never broke down. It was such a reliable car, and it was like the love of my life and the dream car for me back then when I didn't have any money, you know, was a T4. But those were like, yeah, 1,500 euros, and I only had like 500 euros to spend on a car back in school. So yeah, it's so cool that I get to do these fun things now, drive the most expensive cars in the world, but also find bargains like this. Because let me tell you, if you're like a young family man, you don't have that much to spend, maybe you've just bought a house, maybe you've just started a family, maybe you've just purchased a dog, those can be expensive too. Get one of these. If you love cars, if you want a bit of power, if you want somewhat of a fast car, get one of these. Parts are super cheap. They are available from like €1,000, and they are so much fun. I can honestly say that this is one of the best cars available under €2,000. Okay, so performance. It's too wet and cold today for a proper 0 to 100 run, but let me turn off traction control. Pretty damn special, 1999. Wheel spinning. Yeah, that's something like 9 seconds, but it should do 7.3 seconds, which is pretty rapid, I would say. I mean, 7.3, that's impressive. And the V40 was one of the safest cars available back then. It was one of the first to get a 4-star NCAP score, so that's really special. And then you would expect it to be super heavy, but it only weighs like 1,200 kilos. What? That's like a feather light. That's unbelievably light nowadays for an estate car. So that's also good news. Now, fuel consumption. Normally we don't talk about this because we drive a lot of expensive cars, and if you can afford one of these cars, fuel consumption is just irrelevant. But with this, let me check my board computer. Yes sir, I have it. I'm averaging 11 liters per 100 kilometers, but I have to say I just did a 40 kilometer Autobahn run, so realistically speaking, it will do 10 liters per 100 kilometers or 10 kilometers per liter. Wow, this is really starting to sound like consumer advice. Ooh, that was a little bang from the exhaust. Oh, that happens like nearly never, which makes it even more special. Oh, love this car, I really do. As you can see, we have a 60-liter tank and it needs 98 fuel, which nowadays is pretty expensive. I just paid $1.90 per liter here in Germany, and 60 liters, so a full tank of fuel is pretty expensive considering what the car costs. As you just saw, it's pretty hard to get some performance from standstill, but once it's moving, wow, the performance is actually impressive. Let me show you on the Autobahn. Now, disclaimer, this car isn't in a perfect condition. It's not like it was when it left the factory, as I was told, but you know, when you purchase a car, make sure you have a few €100 left to take it to a specialist and tackle the most important faults it has. That's also a great tip I can give you guys. Okay, third gear. It's a bit like a diesel. They call it a high pressure turbo, but it's out of breath after 6,000 RPM, like with many turbo engines, of course. But from 3,500 onwards, it's super impressive. Even though we don't have the full 200 horsepower, I think. Because I've already done the top speed of this car, and as I said, it should do 235. Now let me show you what it actually does. Come on, get out of my way, stupid Golf convertible. But I will tell you this, let's look at it from the positive side. This thing from 100 to 200 is faster than a Porsche Macan, the entry base level version. How awesome is that? That's impressive, right? I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that on the list. There we go! 210. Now, high-speed stability isn't even that bad, and I actually expected it to be the worst stability ever, but it's not too bad. That's 230. It should do 235, as I said. Oh, that's 235 on the speedo. Will it do even more? Come on, Volvo. Come on! No, it won't. So it's doing 235 on the speedometer, and it's 222 on GPS. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's got all horses in the stable, but for 1,750 euros, come on. Just imagine driving 200 kilometers an hour to your holiday destination with the kids for nearly nothing. For me, that's like the romance of cheap cars. It actually works. It's actually reliable. It actually performs for that little money. Love it. Absolutely love this car. Now, I want to take it to a dyno and see how many horses are precisely available still, and then, wow, what should we do? I think we should do a remap. These things have an ECU. The earlier T4 models don't have an ECU, and these can be tuned to up to like 235 horsepower, but if you also do like fuel pump, intercooler, stuff like that, they will do 300 horsepower. I mean, how cool is that? Oh, yeah. And as I said, if you go completely bonkers, it can do 400 and a bit of horsepower, but you would need forged pistons and a completely built block, I guess. Big turbo, but you know, I do think that would be so much fun to do. Come on. So guys, thank you so much for watching. You can subscribe by clicking the big button right here. You can check out this video or go check out this POV reviews playlist. Thanks guys, bye.